guys, hope you're well. Can you let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me? I know I can see me, but let me know if you can hear me, please. That'd be great. Thank you. I've got really wet hair. Well, it's kind of dry here, but it's so wet up here and here. So sorry about that. I've just got a massive forehead. Um, I don't drink hot drinks apart from hot chocolates, Emma. So your kettle's on. I just basically did myself a fizzy pop. Yeah. Let me know if you can hear me, please. Hi all. Hi Joan. Can anybody hear me? Please, please, please answer yes or no. I can hear you and can see you. Thank you, Sharon. Right, okay, so we're going to be doing the Western Tote. Oh, well, keep calling it Western Tote. We're going to be going to be doing the Western Backpack. So the Western Backpack is slightly designer. It's got a small amount of hardware, not the hardware that sometimes some of the bags have where you need to like have ones that I hardly ever stock or some shops in the UK don't stock. It's got general hardware, so which is good. So in the group, if you haven't already got the pattern, it's in the digital downloads, which is in the section above, which is the file section. Um, if you are a person that doesn't want a digital download, you can get the paper pattern. Now, this is a white background, and I'll explain that in a minute. Um, but I've got the pink background paper patterns in stock, and also there's actual hardware kits for these. I only got them in silver at the moment, so please comment on the post in the featured section. Oh, it's cold. In the featured section, was it there? In the featured section, go and comment if you want a pattern, if you need me to invoice, that's there. If you need me to invoice, and I will get an invoice over to you. Now, the reason for the white background on this one, this is actually a Sewing Street version. So, Sewing Street version is exactly the same inside, exactly the same as what you've got, but they didn't like the pink background. They said it wasn't printing up a nice pink. However, they don't use a gloss finish paper, and that's the reason why I went with pink. So my patterns, my paper patterns will have pink. Your digital downloads will have pink. It's just because Sewing Street just want the white, just obviously because it just worked out a bit better for them. It's actually an off-white, but I didn't tell them. It's got a hint of pink in it. And theirs has got the code on it. That's all that's different, so don't stress. It's just slightly different. Hi Christine. Hi Valerie. Right, so yeah, so that's all that's different. Now you will have noticed the patterns have slightly changed. I'm having to go for an editorial style pattern, which is what you normally get in published magazines or in books. Um, the pattern has a number on it, the image, and then your image will be listed here in the actual section of the instructions. That's down to Sewing Street. All my patterns are going to have to go down like this road, unfortunately. So my patterns used to be sometimes a pattern like this would have been about 27 pages. My booklets would have been. They've basically told us we have to cut down on our pages, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us that are having to cut down, unless there's a lot of templates. Now, they said reason being is it's costing too much. They can't charge it for £10 on Sewing Street. So yeah. So with having not to do two style of patterns, I've decided generically all my patterns are going to have to be like this from now on. So it's quite self-explanatory. At the end of one step, if I go to the overhead camera, and this one. So if I say step, let's choose the small step, 48, it'll give you the instructions, and then in bold writing at the end of that step it says image 57. So you just have to try and find image 57 and have a look. Now, I have to apologise with doing this method. Let's say image 65 on this step is actually going to be on this page. And unfortunately, that's how it's had to work, unfortunately. So please don't shoot me. It's just how it's actually worked, and I can't do anything about it. My templates will be in the booklets. So if you buy a paper pattern, either from me or Sewing Street, they're all going to be in the booklets now. So you can either trace them off, or if you have a printer, you can get them print. I can send you the file just for the templates. If you don't have a printer but you're ordering from me, message me and I will print off the templates separate for you so you don't have to trace them off, because sometimes tracing can mean that you might not trace it properly, or you might yeah, so, and I don't want you to cut it out even though it's blank on the back. um Particular on this pattern, because we have to print in multiple of fours, there is two blank pages. But they said if you are cutting this out, this can accidentally come out on this page here. So what I'm trying to say is trace it, or get me to send you these through the post, or basically print them off yourself. Right, okay, so most of you have sub boxes. If you don't worry, I've got a few spare of these. They're going in the shop next week. I can't start selling them until next week, according to my contract with MEB, Emily B Designs. So she normally sells these in a multiple pack of 2s and 3s with different sizes. My pockets, my inside pockets and my outside pockets never go to the other two sizes. Well, hardly ever go to the other two sizes. So I personally asked Emily if she would do me the size 7 once. You would have got these in your last sub box. Now, if you haven't had your sub box, please contact me. It's either gone missing in the post, or I can track it through my tracking on Royal Mail and get it that way. If not, it might be the fact that you join the group later and it hasn't gone out yet. So I can work that one out for you. So I've got a number 7. Now you're probably wondering what this is. She has got some basic instructions in here. And now the instructions she has got in here are totally different to how I implement them. So her instructions is where you do the templates. You can do it the way I've done it, or you can do it where you can't see the raw edges of the pockets. Now, personally, my inside pockets all are standard, so we will do it the same way as I normally do, but the overlay can go on top. Now, you don't have to use this overlay. It's not needed if you don't want to. You just treat it like a normal inside zip pocket. But what happens is it generates, where is the piece? Here it is. If you use cork or faux leather or real leather, it gives a nice sturdy finish to your pocket. It also gives a nice finish. I haven't cut that properly. So it gives a nice finish. Now, I personally don't mind the raw edges as long as it's not a fray, an actual piece of fabric that frays. This isn't going to fray. It's a woven back. If it's a fleecy back PU, I would say just get some edge paint or some glue and just run your finger all the way around to stop the fuzziness of the actual fleece coming through. But other than that, this will go on your pocket and you will sew around it and then obviously finish off your zip pocket. But this will come in the next few weeks when we come to implement that. Let me just put this away. This template is really good. You can reuse it over and over again, and you can use it in any type of zip pocket as long as it's the zip is actually 7 inches. So the actual pocket is 7 inches. Right, okay, so starting off, I do ask you to cut out some fleece, fusible single-sided fleece, but I only get you to fuse certain pieces at this stage. So you are going to be fusing the fusible fleece to the flap, and I know someone's been asking me to do a demonstration on how to fuse fleece to PU. So I'm going to do that tonight on the camera. The other thing is you will be doing the fusible fleece on the shoulder straps. So not on the shoulder straps because we have to do some folding first on the actual fabric. So you put that one piece, those two fleece pieces to one side. The other one that you need to fuse at the start is the actual shoulder cushion. Now the shoulder cushion should have 3 of fusible fleece all the way around. So it's just that's in the centre, so it's out your seam lengths either side, and at the top and the bottom you've got enough so you can fold it over at the later stages, which we need to do at the later stages. And then the last one you don't fuse is the main body piece. So your 2 main body pieces, we will fuse those at a later stage because we need to cut out some squares. But what you need to do is just make sure when you've cut it out, it's free all the way around by 3/8 of an inch. If it isn't free of 3/8 of an inch, I can guarantee where the magnetic snaps go, that fold on the actual seam will be really bulky, and your magnetic snaps will just want to keep rising apart if they're not good magnetic snaps. So just bear that in mind. Make sure you cut it back. The only other thing I have done, which isn't in the pattern, is I'm using Laura's what do you call it, poly webbing, and I've got one here. This is the handle, and if you want to do this method here, now if I go and get the original bag, I thought I had it, but I haven't. Here we go. If you want to do this method, so it's got like a grip. All I've done is used a raw fabric that doesn't fray, so obviously cork, PU or leather, and I have cut it at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6¼ inches in length, and because I'm using 1 inch wide, I've cut this piece of fabric at 3/4 and then just sewed it into the middle. I've rounded off, curved off the edges, but on this one I didn't. I just kept it a straight. I just kept it a straight edge, so it just basically gives that extra element. I do that if you're going to do this, do it before you implement the rest of the bag. So cut, go to step, blah, blah. If you go over to step, if you go to step 46, cut your webbing at 11 inches in length, then you can sew on your piece of fabric and then just pop it to one side. Now this webbing is from Laura. She's got quite a few different types of printed ones, and it just goes nice with the Tula pink that I've chosen to do. Use the fabric. Right, okay, so let's start. Hi Barbara. If anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I don't bite much. Right, okay, so you're going to get your 2 short zips, which are measure at 5½ inches. So we're on step 1, and we're working on the first 3 pictures here. So we're working up to step 2, basically. We're going to add the zip tabs on. So I've already done one here. Okay. Hey. I'm just going to bring that zip tab down. I'm going to pop this right side facing down and then flip it over, and then just add one right side facing down, matching up all the 3 edges. Okay, and repeat it on this edge as well. Is that focused? That's better. Okay, so right side facing down, and then this one right side facing down. Where can we buy the edge paint from? Right, so in the UK, there's a company called oh, it's a leather company in Matlock. Leave it with me, Sharon. I've got it here actually. There you go. It's called the Identity Stall. You can use this as edge paint. This is water-based edge paint, which is great because it washes out, but it doesn't wash away from the fabric. But what I've taught in the past is, if I just get the piece of fabric, there you go. So to get this nice matte finish, so there's plain, your standard plain finish, as in where you don't actually put anything on. But this, if I zoom in for those that don't understand what edge paint is. Okay, so it's got a nice rubber edge to the actual finish. But with that, you need to put a base coat on first. So the base coat you put on, you implement it on with, where's my tool? One of these tools. And it gives a rounded edge. And you let that dry. And you do that about 3 or 4 layers of that. So it gives you a nice curved edge. So you've got like a curved edge. And then once that's set, you dip this into your colour. So I've got a blue on that one, but this is black. You dip this into your colour, let it drain off. There's little indents here, which is like reservoirs, and then basically you just roll that over. So you roll it over like that, and basically it will cover the edge that you've primed with this stuff first. So they're based in Matlock, but they do sell online, and it's good stuff. I've got quite a few different colours. I hardly ever use it now because I used to use it all the time with leather work. But yeah, so that's that. Okay, so we're going to sew these 1/4 of an inch each side on both of those tabs. And we've got to bring this camera. I'm sorry, guys. There you go. Okay, so 1/4 of an inch, standard stitch length. No, sorry, 3/8 of an inch. Sorry, that's Becky having a designing another pattern in her head. I've been doing another pattern. So yeah, that's coming soon. That's for the next sub box, to be fair. That won't be long. Okay. Okay, so now I've sewn it there. The first thing I'm going to do, and this isn't mentioned in the pattern, is I'm going to peel the top and the bottom pieces of fabric and just expose that zip. And I'm actually trimming off the zip on both sides. And there's a reason for this is when we come to the top of the pocket, or the top of the 2 pockets, there's a bit of a bulk. So we're going to try and get rid of that bulk. Now, I didn't write this into the pattern because I didn't actually think about this bulk until later stages. So I'm just going to just mention it on Sewing Street and here, obviously. So I'm just trimming it back to about 1/8 away from the fold where I folded it over, and I'm just going to get a lighter just to re-singe it. Okay, now I'm going to top stitch. So I'm basically putting these wrong sides together, bringing them out, and then just top stitching 1/8 of an inch away on both sides. Knock your stitch length up to a stitch length 3.5 to 4. Don't need to reverse your stitch. You will need quilter's tape for this project. I'm just putting that out there, guys. It's going to come your best friend when it comes to like implementing the pocket lining on the front of the bag. You're welcome, Sharon. Right, okay, so I'm just going to trim off the excess width of that tab. so it just matches up. Get rid of that lighter. So you're going to go ahead and do that for both outer pocket zips. Okay. You're going to pop those to one side. And then in the pattern on step 3, that's number 3, I tell you to get your lining fabric for your pocket and your outer pocket main fabric. Put them on top of each other, making sure they're equal and there's no bumps. And then from each short edge, you're going to measure in 3.5 inches and cut right down. Now, don't be a fool like I was, because we've got a print here. If I was to cut 3.5 inches here and another 3.5 inches, what will happen is this will not match up. So this 3.5 inches that I cut here will have to go on here, and it won't match up with your design. So be canny about it. Cut 3.5 inches from this side and 3.5 inches from this side. So, hi Isabel. Right, so 3.5 inches, and you're going to cut, and you cut in both lining and outer. Okay, so that's that one. Then I'm just going to twist this around because I cut from this side, and I'm going to measure 3.5 inches on this side. Okay. Twist that round and pop that there, twist that round and pop that there. So I've now got 3 pieces for that pocket, and as you can see, it will match up. Once the zip goes in between those, the design will still carry on. Okay, so the first one you're going to get is the zipper, and you're going to run quarters tape along the one edge. Now personally, I want my zips to go downwards, so I'm going to run it on this edge. New roll. So just bear with me. I'm so trying to get the manufacturer to get this done cheaper for me, but at the moment it's still cheaper to buy it from Amazon in the packs of 3 or 4s. So if anybody needs quarters tape and you want it reasonably priced rather than what some of the other companies sell it at, Amazon is your best bet. It's called wash away tape though on Amazon. Okay, so I'm going to grab this piece here, the main outer, and we're just going to leave the lining for all the pieces at the moment. Okay, so we're going to grab this and sew this one on. So we are on step, it's where piece 7 and 8 is. So we're not attaching any of the lining pieces at the moment. So I'm just going to peel that backing off. And this tab here will be longer. We want the bottom of the zip the longest tab. When I say longest, the longest means that we can cut it off. We're not bothered about it. The top edge here of the pocket needs to match up with the top edge of this actual tab. And there's a reason for that. When we actually come to put the actual bag together and put the pocket on, this bit slightly folds under, and it means that it's got something to grip onto. So I'm going to change to my zipper foot and sew as close as I can get to that zip, which is around about 3/8 of an inch. So let me just change my foot over. Did anybody do much sewing over Christmas? I know I didn't. I read a lot, but I was ill. Michael came ill. Ethan came ill. My dad came ill. My sister and my nephew came ill. So we were all ill after Christmas Day. Right, okay, so standard stitch length. I'm just going to sew this remember to reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. And if you have to, move that tab. I mean zipper pull, shall I say, not tab. Okay. And we are not top stitching it. So I'm just going to close that zipper up. And we're just going to give that a nice crease. You can do it with an iron if you want to. I've used Fuse It Woven, so I can actually finger press. I tend to find that I can finger press better with the woven. So first of all, I'm just going to trim off that excess. I'm just going to line off the ruler with the lines of the actual fabric and just trim that off. Okay, so that one's done. We're just going to pop that up there so we don't get it muddled up. I'm going to get this zip and pop that there so we know which one to actually put, which side to actually put the next wash away tape on. So we need to put it on this side. So I'm going to go and put it on the top. So if you noticed, before my zip pull was on this side, this zip is now my zip pull's on this side. So I'm just going to run the tape along the top edge here. I did loads of my embroidery machine, but nothing much on the sewing machine. What did you embroider? I must admit, when you got an embroidery machine for the first time, I don't know if this is your first one, Sharon, but if it's your first time using it, then I got addicted. I was just doing everything and everything on mine. I now don't have an embroidery machine because we just didn't have the space for it. Okay, so I've just moved the fabric down. I know it's going to match up the top edge here, so and there should be an excess at the bottom on the tabs. Okay, and then we're just going to sew along this edge here, 3/8 of an inch, and we're not top stitching. So I'll just pull that zip down. And don't forget to reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. I remember the first embroidery that I did on my sewing machine. It was a Tilda pink one, and it was the sewing machine. And my worst regret, because it took 5 hours to stitch out. It was a long one. Yeah, and it wasn't cheap either. It was like £25 that actual file was. It wasn't cheap at all, but it was really big. It was a sewing machine about this big in the end. Right, so I'll just put that one out. And I'm just going to trim off the excess. Okay. So we know that one goes there. So it doesn't matter which one we grab. We're going to grab that centre piece and we're just going to attach it to this side of the zipper now. Okay, so we know it's this side we need to attach because obviously that's how the pattern goes of the fabric. Right side facing down, match up the edge. And as you can see, it matches the tabs. There's no overhang now. If you've got an overhang, it just means you might have cut it off at an angle when you've trimmed off the excess. And we're just going to sew this 3/8 of an inch. So tonight I want to get the front of the bag finished and the actual flap finished tonight. So and then we will do the back the following session and start bringing the bag together the following session. So it'll be 3 sessions this bag, but don't stress. If you're a brand new beginner, because I know I've got 2 new beginners in here, don't stress. I'm always there at the end of the messages and stuff. I made bags, purses, tree ornaments, and on mine for Christmas took hours. Right, okay, so just going to bring that out and give that a good finger press. Okay, then we're going to bring this one and we're going to go and put some tape on there. Oops, there's my slips and my clips. Okay, and then we're just going to peel this back in off. I'm going to turn my iron on while we've got this far. And then we're going to bring this one over to there. Match that up at the top and at the bottom. And stick that into place. That's not into place, is it, Rebecca? There you go. And then we're just going to sew 3/8 of an inch along that edge there. Make sure you reverse that starting at the end, and I'm definitely using a standard stitch length, which is 2.5 or 2.4, depending on your sewing machine. Okay, so we've got these now. Now we can go ahead and give this a good press just to make sure it's nice and flat. So we'll go and do that now. And while we're at it, we just grab those pieces because we need to do some pressing on those. Now I haven't managed to cut. I said on Zoom I was going to manage to cover my iron board, but I haven't. It's got a few stains on it from starch and that, so just don't judge. Right, okay, so I'm just going to press these. Okay, so I've just given that a press. And I'm just going to pop that to one side. Just going to pop that there. We're going to get the centre piece and the two side pieces. Now I've used just the dot one, which I think I kind of got that right, but it's the inside, so I'm not really bothered. So the centre piece we need to fold in the two short edges 3/8 of an inch, and the two outer edges we need to fold in on one edge. Now the one edge will be the edges that we are closest to the zip. So I'm going to start off with these ones first. So 3/8 of an inch. I'm quite used to how much to fold, so you might want to measure it, but I just know this is 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, and I'm going to pop that one there because I know that one goes there. Same with this one. Does anybody quilt? I quilt, and I've just had to do my Sewing Street sample. It's the first time ever where I've damaged my wrist. This wrist is so swollen, and last week I couldn't use it. And I don't know if it's like, what do you call it? Not tennis elbow, because tennis elbow to do with your elbow. I don't know. I don't know why they call it tennis elbow if it isn't to do with your elbow. But it just feels wrong and twisted and hurts so much to use stuff. Right, so the centerpiece, I'm just bringing in the two short edges by 3/8 of an inch and giving those a good press. Right, okay, so just press that from the good side, the right side. Oh. Could be all the books I'm reading, you know, as you do. You hold the books like that, don't you? So it could be that, I don't know. Right, okay, so get your main outer piece right side facing up. I'm going to personally bring these zip tabs a bit further down to there. Okay, then I'm going to get the center piece right side facing down, and what you will notice is it will match up to where your folded edges are on your actual main outer. And we're just going to run some clips along the top. Personally, I'm going to check the seam underneath as well, so it's folded in the right direction, which that one is, and it's not coiled up anywhere. Then you're going to get your outer pieces right side facing down, and you're going to match up the raw edge and the folded edge, and you're going to clip along that top edge there to hold it into place. Make sure you're not caught the actual seams, and then you're going to, on this piece, just do a few clips down this edge here, right side facing down. You're going to clip along that top edge, that seam, and those two there. Okay, so on your sewing machine, I'm going to change back to my standard foot now, which is my Teflon foot, and you're going to sew 3/8 of an inch up this side, across this edge here, and down this edge. We're not going to sew anywhere at the bottom here. Now, when we go across this edge here, where there is seams here, back stitch over on those just to reinforce them. And then we're going to trim off the excess on the corners, and then we're going to turn it right side facing out and then finish off the actual zip pockets here, but that's at a later stage. So let's just do this part first. So let's just change back the zip, the foot, shall I say. So you're using 3/8 of an inch on this. Come on, come on. Put that into place. Right, okay, so standard stitch length. And you're going to sew all the way around those three edges, 3/8 of an inch, reverse your stitch at start and at the end for definite, and over where those zip tabs are and those seams are of your zips. But make sure they don't fold the opposite way to your actual seam, if that makes sense. You don't want them to open up, basically. You want them to stay nice and flat as how you put them. So that one's just popped up. I'm reversing the stitch there. Sew across. Make sure my seams are lying flat, and I'll reverse my stitch on that seam there. Nice and flat, and reverse my seams. Twist that around, and then we're reversing at the very end. Okay, so just using a rotary cutter, just trim back your seams by half the amount, and on the corners you might want to trim them at an angle. So it even hurts just to press down on that. I've never had that with this cutter. I'll just move that out of the way. Okay, so you're going to get a pokey tool, and we're going to turn this right side facing out. Where's my pokey tool? I'll use you instead. Actually, no, you haven't got a nice curve. Yeah, you have. Just bear with me. Can I have the pokey tool, please? I don't want the pokey tool. There you go. You don't want something that's got too much of a point. That's what I'm trying to get at, and this one hasn't got much of a point. So I've got this turning tool. Okay, so where these corners are, we're going to turn them right side facing out. But you're going to poke out those corners. Okay, just ignore how it's folding. Do the same with this one. So we are on step, what step are we on? 11 and 12 at the moment, guys. So, and then we're just going to bring that one out. So I'm going to finger press this at the moment. And I'm just going to get my iron and press it all nice and flat. Personally, I'm going to do up the zips now. So they're just in the way, not out the way. I mean, out the way. Make sure the edges that you've already pre-ironed stay flat. Okay, so I'll roll this one first. Take your time. It's not a. Could do with a small iron actually. Could plug my small iron in, but I can't be bothered. Right, okay, so just give that a nice press. Okay, then I'm going to work on this edge first. Roll those seams, you want them nice and out, and you want it nice and straight as well. If it helps, you can get a glass head pin. Let me just grab a glass head pin. Pop that into your mat to stop it from coming out and undone. And then once you're happy, just take that away. I say a glass head pin. You can use any pin, but just be careful with the heat of your iron. So I personally always grab a glass head pin. Right, so the tab here was raw and is raw underneath. Just make sure it's folded under by 1/4 of an inch, which it should be, no less than 1/8 of an inch, and give that a really good press. That will be sealed. There'll be no raw edges on your bag once we've sealed this off and top stitched all the way around. So don't stress, that does go. But if I was to do some different types of tabs, I can guarantee it would have been too bulky for the bag. So that's not happy with that. I don't want to see any of the lining, that's what I'm trying to do. So I'll just poke that into the mat. Okay. Okay, so got that there. So you're just going to flip this one over and you're going to run quarters tape along those two edges there. That's it. And then on this here, you're just going to run some quarters tape. It doesn't matter if it's the full length or not, as far as you can get it up, basically. I generally just go up to the tab at the top. And you're sticking it on the edge after the sewn line. So basically it's on the seam. You repeat that for this one as well. Okay, so peel off this backing tape. And you're going to stick that down. So, and then same with this side. And you can see where I've stuck it down, it's about just so my zip pull doesn't catch on it. But you know where your sew line is, you can stick it to where the actual stitch line is that you've already sewn, where you attach the zipper to the main outer fabric. Like that. Then you're going to peel off these ones. Hello, do you want to come off? So with this one. And you're going to bring this down. I'll stick that into place. Okay. And there. Okay, I'm just making sure the zip pull doesn't catch on to any of those edges. And then I'm now going to top stitch. Now 4 rows of top stitching, so you're going to top stitch either side of the zips, and then that part is finished, and then we're going to attach it to the main body outer. So I'm top stitching using the stitch length number 4, and I'm top stitching about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Just move the zip pull as you go along. And reverse your stitch at the top. So when I say the top, I mean where the zip pull, the tab is, that's folded over, not the raw edge one. Okay, so you don't need to top stitch at the bottom. Reverse your stitch also, because that's going into a seam anyway. Oh, got caught up there. Yeah, she's fine. Is she underneath though? Yeah. Yeah, she is. Good day. Okay, so I've done the top stitch, and if you've got any loose pieces of thread, just get rid of those now. Okay, so you're gonna, first of all, if you get this, like I've only ever had it on twice now, but if you find that your line is slightly bigger, you need to cut it off, just so it matches up. I had this on the mock-up, but I didn't have it on the one that's on the actual pattern. But for some reason, I've got it again on this one, so just trim it off. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over, and then on the 3 outer edges that you've sewn as made as complete, you're going to run quarters tape. So you definitely need 1/4 inch quilter's tape for this. Don't go for the 1/2 inch one because I know there's a 1/2 inch. If you've got the 1/8 one, which you can get, use that. But personally, I just always have the 1/4 inch one in my sewing kit. Okay, then you're going to get your main body top piece. Now, my advice is to interface it for definite. I've used a woven interfacing because I want a bit of a sturdier bag, but you can use the non-woven as well. You're going to fold this in half and just give it a good crease in the centre. If you want to, you can add a pin. I'm going to go ahead and add a pin where that fold is in that centre. Then you're going to fold it in half so we find the centre top and the centre bottom. I'm just going to snip those in the seam allowance. And generally I try and find a mark on my mat. So I'm going for this mark here. Actually, I might go for that mark there. And that mark there. So you guys can see where that mark is, that centre. Okay, so just make sure that pin is definitely in the centre. I'm going to peel off the backing tape on those 3 sides. Okay. So I'm just making sure this is straight. I'm going further up. My 6 on my rule is where the actual centre is. And we want to match up the bottom edge first. Oh, stuck to the wood. Why did I do that? Okay, and then stick that down. Now you want equal amount of free from the pocket on each side. So we can peel this off at this stage if we want to. So on an average, 3/4 at the bottom, 3/4 on that side. Okay, there you come. So we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch all the way around. If you want to, you can go ahead and do a second row if you want to. I'm going to see how the 1/8 looks when I go all the way around. At the moment, it's just one pocket, but we will be sewing down the centre as well, but I will be drawing on my centre line. So first of all, I'm just going to sew all the way around. I'm going to use a long stitch length. Hi, Lynn. Your friends, your visitors have completely left then, I'll take it. Right, reverse your stitch at the start and at the end, just so it's extra precaution. I'm doing 1/8 at the moment. And doing 1/8 means that you're definitely going over that raw fold on that zip tab. Okay, so I'm just going to double check to see how I feel about, get my fingers up there, see. I personally can't feel any of those raw tabs. So if you can feel a bit of raw fabric, you might want to go ahead and do another 1/4 inch away from the folded edge along the top of the pocket. But I personally can't feel it, so I'm going with what I've just done. Okay, so we need to find the centre and then draw a line So use a marking tool that disappears with heat or water or chalk. So I'm just going to fold that again, just to make sure I've definitely got the top and the bottom centres correct, which I have. Okay, and then I'm just going to draw that line in the centre of that pocket. Now you don't have to draw it in the centre, you can have this pocket smaller if you want to. So mobile phones these days are getting bigger and bigger. If you've got a Pro, like a Pro Max iPhone, you might want your pocket a lot longer and just have this a bit smaller so you can keep your change in or lip gloss or something. So personally, think about who you're making the bag for. If you're making it for yourself and you want a longer pocket, you can do so. You can draw a line here if you wanted to. But personally, I like in the centre. I don't carry my phone on my front of my bag anyway when I'm out and about. It's either in my pocket in my jeans or I've basically put it inside my bag. Okay, so I've just drawn the line. And then basically we're just going to reverse at the top and sew all the way down. And then that's your two pockets finished. Reverse a few times, just at the top, just so it's secure. And I will definitely do it at the bottom as well. Okay, let me just get the iron and give that a quick press in the centre so it gets rid of that mark. There we go. And just trim off that piece of thread. Right, okay, so we are now on step 20, 18 and 19. So we're working on 18 and 19. So you'll need your D-ring, and it's a 1-inch D-ring because I'm using 1-inch webbing. If you're using a 3/8, a 3/4 of an inch D-ring, your webbing will be too big for it. So I've cut the webbing at 3.5 inches, and because it's Laura's, I have singed the end with the heat of the actual lighter. Just going to fold that right sides together and give that a clip. Okay, so those raw edges now need to go into the centre. So I personally pop that sewn line on a mark. And you want it 1/2 inch either side of where that mark is. And pop that into place. You're going to sew along the edge. You can sew up if you want to, or you can do a rivet. I'm not going to do a rivet, I'm just going to sew a T. So when I say a T, so I'm sewing across here at the moment, and then going up as far as I can get to that D-ring and reversing the stitch all the way down. And the reason why I'm doing the T is because I still want these pockets and not lose any of the gap at the bottom. Now, if I was to sew a square, which I do mention in there, it's just hard for me to tell about a T method. If you're going to sew a square, what will happen is your pockets will get smaller, so you're losing about 1/2 inch of the pocket at the bottom. Just if you've got a mobile phone, that 1/2 inch might mean something. So, and it might mean that your phone will fit in it. So I'm just going to sew across the bottom and then up as far in the centre as I can go to the top. I will show you once I've done it. So stitch length number 4. I know I won't be able to get that far because unless I use a humper jumper or bulky seam or whatever you want to call it. So I've sewn across the bottom and I'm going to go to the centre, just about there. Let's get the bulky seam made out just in case. And I'm going to sew up as close as I know I'm in the centre because I can see the stitch line from on the pocket. And then reverse my stitch. Okay. reverse my stitch, and just keep going down. I'm just going to go up once more, but not all the way. There you go. Okay, so if I just show you what I've done, zoom in. So you can see I've sewn across the bottom within the seam allowance and up. That just stops this flapping around because that will bug me personally. And it just means that I haven't lost part of that pocket in that corner there. So this way, yep. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do is get your main outer bottom piece. Your main outer bottom piece should be a stronger fabric than what you've already used. So you can use like cork, PU, leather, even canvas if you wanted to. Just means to be a bit heavier than the top one because it means that it's making the base nice and sturdy. I've interfaced the back, which is just basically woven fuse it. We've woven fuse it with PU. You don't have to hold your iron on for too long on PU because PU can tend to melt if or something. So just beware of that. Okay, so right sides together, matching up the bottom edge. Turn it around. Clip along the edge. Okay, and then I'm going to sew 3/8 of an inch along that edge and reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. Then I'm going to open this up and then make sure the seam is pointing down towards this piece here. Then I'm going to top stitch using the stitch length number 4 and I'm going to do that 1/8 of an inch away. So first of all, standard stitch length, 3/8 of an inch, reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. Then because I'm using PU, I can't iron this side, so I'm just going to sew 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch top stitch. Don't need to reverse my stitch at start and the end, but you can lengthen your stitch length. So sewing this at standard stitch length, 3/8 of an inch at the moment. Reverse your stitch at start and at the end. And where the D-ring tab is, personally sew over it a few times so you can reverse your stitch on it if you want to. If your machine is struggling, get your bulky seam aid out and pop that underneath. Mine's going through it fine because there is no fleece on it at the moment. But just watch, there's no jump stitches. Okay, knock my stitch length up. Just making sure the seam is still pointing that way. Let's give that a bit of a finger press first. 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, whatever you're happy at. I'm doing 1/8 of an inch. I prefer 1/8 of an inch. And I'll tell you why. There's it measures the foot. So I kind of just go by the foot width. But that's how I do it anyway. Just make sure it's stitch length number 4. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that, so it looks like that, and that's your main outer front done, apart from cutting out these bits here. So looking at step 26, so we're working on step 22. It's got quite a few image numbers, so it's got 26, 27, 28, and 29. 26, 27, 28, and 29. So 29 is us doing the fusible fleece. So if I get my Emily Designs tool, I've got 2-inch square here. You don't need to use this, but I prefer using this now. But you can use your rule here if you want to. So on the wrong side, if you've got this tool here, I'll do the quilter's rule as well for you guys. So you'll line this edge up with this raw edge and this part of the tool with that raw edge and just draw that on. Okay, and basically you will do. Now, if you've used this tool, make sure you use this tool for all of your squares. I'm just going to show you how to do it with this one, but I can guarantee you everybody's measurements are different. So this is actually 1/8 of an inch off, but now because I've used this tool, all my squares need to be using this tool. But if you were using a quarters rule, you will basically measure your 2-inch mark on your rule to your 2-inch mark on this, and then just draw around it. But I'm going to use this tool. Yep. Okay. And then we're just going to trim on the drawn line. I have just noticed one thing. My cutting might have been off at one point. I'm just going to trim off that excess. And do the same with this one. Okay. You're going to get one of your main body fleeces. There it goes. There. And before you cut it, do the measure thing. So let me just put it that way. Okay. So your fleece will only fit this one way. It won't fit it the other way. So if your fleece matches, once you've trimmed it all the way around by 3/8 of an inch, shorter than the what the pattern says, your top will be too high and you'll have so much space here. So you need to flip it round just to make sure you've got 3/8 of an inch all the way around, which I have near enough. So I know I'm cutting off these two bottom corners. So and then just trim those off. Okay, and you do that for both fleece pieces. I'm just going to do it for this one tonight. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to fuse the fleece on this because it does take me a while to fuse fleece, and I don't want you guys to just be there for ages. But you will fuse the fleece. Now, maybe I didn't trim off the top bit. No, that's probably didn't actually. So I'm just going to do this. Just trim off 3/8 of an inch at the top, because I might have not cut it properly when I actually did the actual fleece, cutting out the fleece. Right, that's better. So you're going to fuse that fleece now to the actual main outer body piece. Now I'm going to show you how to fuse fleece via the flap, just because it's a smaller piece. So you'll need a pressing cloth. I use an old cotton tea towel and some spritz in water. Now you can use steam in your iron, but personally I don't like doing steam in the iron and I don't really like having water in my iron because I'm a quilter. as well as a bag maker. So I've got my flap here and I've got my PU. I've got woven interfacing on at the moment, and I'm going to pop this so the glute is facing down, and you've got kind of equal amounts of fleece free from the flap. Now, because I'm using PU, I'm going down to just between 1 dot and 2 dots. Okay, I'm not going to do 3. You should only fuse fusible fleece at 2 dots anyway, but I'm actually just going down to the in-between mark of the 1 and the 2. I'm going to get my spritzer bottle and just spritz some water on. Okay, and then I'm going to get my cloth, put that down. I'm going straight into the centre and holding that down into place. You can have a timer on if you want to, but you are fusing this at a lower heat. But it says to fuse within 10 to 15 seconds. So because I'm using less heat, I tend to go up to the 15 seconds. But you don't want to hold it any more than 15 seconds. You can always go back once it's cooled down. Right, okay, so just peel back your pressing cloth and run your fingers around the outer edge to see if it lifts off. Now, mine isn't lifting off, it's just peeling, splitting in half, if you understand where I'm coming from. That's fused now into place, but it's still too hot for me to sew, so I'm just going to pop it there and let that cool down while I just fold up this cloth. Don't let it cool down on your mat because that holds the heat. Right, so while that's cooling down, I'm just going to let that cool down a bit more. I'm going to get my, what's it called, lobster clasp, and we are on step 24 and 25 now. Okay, so you're going to get your 1 3/4 inches, 3 3/4 inches. Let me just make sure that's 3. Yeah, 3 3/4 inches. If it frays, singe the edges. I'm just going to fold that on into place. And personally, you know, with the D-ring, I did a T, a little T shape. With this one, I actually don't mind it moving, and the reason why I don't mind it moving is when I come to click it close, I sometimes might have it at an angle or something like that, just so I can squeeze everything into the bag. So this one I don't mind, but if you want to, if you don't like it moving around, you can add a rivet or you can sew as close as you want to that edge there. That's cooled down now. So you're going to fold this in half and find the center of the rounded edge, this edge here. Okay. Put that on the mat. So my center is this mark here. I'm going to pop this up and click that for a minute and make sure that's in the center. Okay, then you're going to get your lining. I've got interfacing on my lining, fuse it woven. I have got more fuse it woven on the way. I only had a small amount sent to me, but there is more coming. So right side facing down to right side, click all the way around. Oh, the gritter machine's just gone past our eyes. So we must be having a frost tonight. And I clip that into place at that centre. turn my iron slightly up again. So I'm going to sew 3/8 of an inch all the way around and reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. I'm not going to stitch this section here. Use a standard stitch length. 3/8 of an inch is your seam allowance. And where the tab is, you might want to go over that a few times, just so it's held into place. And reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. Okay. So we're going to trim off the excess. I'm probably going to go from this side. So we're going to trim off the excess using a rotary cutter. I'm going to do it by half. If you've got pinking shears, go around those curves if you want to. Now when it comes to here, where you can feel the tab, I'm just going to go off at an angle, like so. And then I'm going to come on at an angle here. I'm going to not cut through that tab, just in case it wants to fray at a later stage. It can't fray now because I haven't actually cut through that part. Okay, pokey tool and turn this right side facing out. You want to make sure your iron is on as well. Very cold here. My son is on his way to Shrewsbury now. Hope it doesn't freeze before he arrives. Probably won't, but we are expecting frosts this way and strong winds on Friday. I just know that. Right, so I'm just going to get my pokey tool and run that around the edge. Shrewsbury's, for anybody that doesn't know, Shrewsbury is about 20 miles away from me, so it's not that far. Okay, so just going to grab my iron and I'm going to press it, but I'm going to press it from the lining side. Make sure the iron doesn't touch that PU, but we don't want any of the lining showing from the right side, which is the PU side. And then we're just going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Personally, this is very springy for me. I don't like it. I'm just going to add some clips on so it stops springing. If this was cotton fabric and it wasn't springing, I wouldn't be doing this actual step. Okay, so I'm just going to top stitch either 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And I will be doing the raw edge at the top as well, just so it's completely in one bit. Knock it up to stitch length number 4 as well. Don't need to reverse your stitch at the start. Okay, and then just stitch across the top as well, so it's one piece. I love this metallic. Right, okay, and then basically you finish the front of your bag. So that's what mine will look like once the bag is on. Now your magnetic snaps go here, but we do that at the next stages. So I will be finishing there today. Up we go. So we have finished at step 25 today. So yeah, it's looking all right actually. I quite like the pink. It's really nice. It's very Becky anyway. So this is for me. Right, so I will be starting this on Sewing Street, but obviously I've spent an hour and 25 minutes with you doing this already. I will never get this far on Sewing Street. So they will only probably see the part of the pocket. And yeah, so don't stress. I know I am a bit behind, but I have had my winter break. But you guys will finish this pattern. So the next sew along is on the 12th of February. I want to say 12th. Let me just see if I can bring up the calendar. Sorry, guys. I'm hoping I'm still running. Yep. Hang on. Yeah, so we were on the 12th of February, the next sew along for this, and we will do the back, add the magnetic snaps, make the straps, and sew the bag together. So we've got quite a bit to do for the next sew along. So yeah, don't forget it's the last final week of the sale where you get 25% off. That's more than whatever I give you in the discount of Fred's Gang. So please use that discount. And there will be on the 1st of February an announcement saying that the money is going up on Fred's Gang, and it's not that much, it's £1 per month. Unfortunately, it's having to go up because sub box materials have gone up and internet fees have gone up. So for me to put this out there, the internet needs paying and stuff like that. Anything else? Not really, no. Any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Oh yeah, and watch out, there is an offer coming on in Fred's Gang, hopefully next month. If all the stuff arrives next month, I will jump at the chance. It's involving zippables and zips. There's some packs coming, so watch out. So thanks ever so much for joining me tonight, and I'll see you all on the next sew along. And don't forget, I'm on Sewing Street on Monday next week. Have a nice day. Bye.